Hey everybody! So I'm going to show you how we can create robots and vehicles in K-Vehicle Engine. I'll start with this green one. It's quite simple. I'll talk some more details about working in editor and about scripting a robot. This is the first video of how we can make robots. I'm planning to make more. Okay, I'm going to press F7. That's a shortcut key to open an open editor, robot editor window. I'm going to clean this one and start with a new one. And the first thing I do is that I name it. I will name it tank. The robot name is also a file name of the robot, so it's unique and it can contain up to 16 characters. It's for some optimization in code. Okay, the first thing we need is objects. Yeah, so I click here to add new object and name it head, for example. We are creating objects from the texture, so I open texture library, pressing F4 key. I find my texture that I need. It's here, so I click on it. I can see it in a full size, in a hint. So we can see here we are going to make all the vehicle from one texture. So all the parts are in one texture only. I close the library pressing F4 key again, and I assign texture here. So we can see the texture here, and we can choose a rectangle crop of the part that we want for our head easily by dragging it with the mouse here, and we can do it again and again. So this way I drag a rectangle crop. We can more precisely even write it here, for example, so we can update it. So this way we made one object, but we need 5 more. We can do it again like before, so I click here and name it and assign the texture, but we can also make it clicking here the insert key, so we duplicate our object, and this way we easily and fastly make 6 objects. I click on this one, I name it gun. It's important for us to name the objects. It will be important when writing scripts for the robot, so we can look for the objects or joins by the name, by their names. I click here to cancel the rectangle crop, and I can drag a new crop for this object this way. The same with legs, so we easily add these objects here. The same for wheel, and I still need to name the objects. Also the editing is a little more easier when the objects are named. Okay, I have created the objects and now I can place them. Again, I can place them with mouse and keys here in this window, or I can place them selecting them and writing their position here in the editor. Now I will choose moving them like this with mouse. Quite simple. Okay, and now we want this vehicle to be more symmetric, so the objects are positioned more precise and more symmetric. So now this object is at 0 position. I can use that, so I can write exact position for the legs. So this is the x coordinate of the position. I write there, for example, 48, minus 48. and here for example 37. So when I click on another leg, I can write here plus 48 and 37, so it's symmetrically positioned now. The same thing I could do with wheels, but first I want to place it a little better, so I can here move this wheel behind the leg so I can see how it's positioned, and I can move it back now like this. Okay, now let's see the position. I'll update it to, for example, minus 62 and 49. So the same thing I could do here. I can write here 62 and 49, so I have it very precisely positioned now, and they're symmetrically positioned. Okay, now we want this head object to be above all of them, so we return to the object list and we easily move it down so it's on top of everything. Okay, now we can see here in the wires block we have here a grid, and this can be useful for making the objects, the robots too. And we can see object borders. Yeah, so the object borders are being drawn here. So okay, we've got objects ready, but we have to do two more things for the objects. One of the objects must be checked as a master object of the robot. We will need at least one master object for a robot. So I click here in the object properties that this object will be master. We can see this red cross that it's master object. Don't forget about it, is important so the code knows how to connect objects with joints that we're going to do now. But before that, even I will click on the wheel and we can see that its automatic border is made the same way like for this object or this, and you can see it's not a circle, and we might need to have it a nicer circle. So for these object properties I click the circle shape. Now you can see it's a better circle. The same I'll do for another wheel. The texture is a little shift, but I'll solve this later. Okay, so now we have all the objects prepared for our vehicle. I can save a robot. As I save the robot, in a robot block I can see its photo, so it's made from this. And in robot library I can find the vehicle that I have saved right now. So here you can find what you saved and load by clicking and load. Yeah, robot library F8 to click is to show it and hide it. I'm going to continue with this vehicle, and we are going to connect its parts with the joints. Here I can click this magic label to minimize and restore all the blocks of this editor page. It's very useful when switching between different blocks, you know. So now I'm going to edit joints. Again, I can edit them pressing here, naming it. Then I can choose by the object's name which object it connects, and I can write here position of the joint on object A and object B. But we can also do this more easily going to this window, putting mouse position here and press insert key. That adds a joint and connects all the objects that are under my mouse now. So this way we can very easily connect more objects. Okay, and again we can update joint positions so they will be more symmetrical in the editor here. So for example, I want these to have on Y position the same, so I can see when I update this to 32 and this to 32, it's on the same Y coordinate. And for example, here I could do -60 and here 16. Oops, 16. So the same way as I've done my objects more symmetrical, I can do these joints more symmetrical. I can do it on these joints too, but on these joints it's important to show that we want this joint at the exact center of the wheel circle. We want it on a center of the mass, so it's simple. We just write here 0 and 0, so the joint position is relative to center of the mass when this checkbox is checked. So now we have it connected at the exact center of the wheel circle. The same we can do for this, and we can update joint position also with mouse and keys here by pressing Shift plus mouse dragging, or position of the joint on another object with Shift and Control and mouse drag. Okay, now we have the objects jointed together. We can see it. So I close this window, pressing F7 and pressing here insert key, so we can see we have this very simple vehicle, not doing anything, just made from the objects and joints down here. Yeah, I'm pulling the objects in the object edit page, and I'm going back to robot edit page. So this is a basic stuff for our robot. So now we've got objects and joints made. We can do some poses for the robot. I'll show up a little from this because it's not very important so far for this vehicle. So we can make a basic pose is made already, but we can make another pose, like for example crouched and jumped. And for this pose we can very easily with mouse do some rotations and make some poses. And for example, when jumped it will look like this, and here we can switch between the poses that we could use for the vehicle control. Yeah, but for this vehicle there is a script written that does everything. It doesn't need these poses. I'll talk about these poses in different videos in different vehicles. So I just close it now, and we'll save robot, and we'll go to tell you something about scripting the robots. I'll not go to very details because it's a lot of stuff, so I will tell just some main things about it. We've got here a script on build and script on update for each robot that we can write. Yeah, I'm going to load a complete vehicle done already with the scripts written already, so I could show you what's going on there. The script on build is being executed for our robot directly after all the objects and joints are created for the robot. So here we can update our objects and joints in a script. It looks like this. Imagine it's a function that gives us two parameters, that gives us a robot and mObject parameter. A robot is like a pointer to our robot in the engine, so we can call it function, we can read it values and so on, and so we can control it. And mObject here is an empty Lua object that where we can store anything we want, for example our own values like vehicle state, our own functions that we will write for our robot. Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff here needed to be written, to some help documentation how we will make the robot scripts. Okay, I'll tell something more about script on update. Script on update is being executed on each frame while we're playing the game or while playing the simulation. Again, it's a function that passes us the robot and the object that is assigned to our robot where we can store anything. And in the script on update, as you can see, I have written a controlling of our vehicle with keys. So we're using the mObject to store there some vehicle states, and we are using this object to call some functions that we have written for our vehicle, like to crouch or to stand or to jump or to control its aiming, motors, brakes and shooting. Okay, it's enough to tell about this script so far. I think I wanted to show you how we create the basics of the robot, and so I want to show you one more robot because there is a little different way of creating it, very little different, but I'll show that. So I'll clean up this one and start to make a new one. Okay, again, don't forget to make it named, so I call it, for example, crab. I can close this and I'm going to objects. I'll add one, it will be named just O, and I'm going to texture library. We can restore windows and resize windows like this, and I'm going to find the texture that I need. It's here. So this robot is different because its parts are not in one texture, but each part is in different texture, as you can see here. But this can be useful because these objects are positioned already as the artist made it, so I will not have to precisely position them here, and I can use their position inside a picture. Okay, so I add an object, I assign the texture for it. I'll make 4 more objects. I will click on, okay, I'll make it like this. I will click on this leg 1A, and assign it. I will click on this and assign it, so I make the objects I need. And then I'm going to click on each object. I'm going to the object properties, and here we can click to set object's position by the texture. So when I click it, it's positioned by the texture. Well, in the texture, it usually uses up left coordinates of the object, of the object. But here we have a position of the center of the mass, but it is positioned by the texture. So when I click on all others and click to set objects positioned by the texture, you can see that the objects are positioned like in the texture. So this could be useful sometimes too. Let's say this will be the master object of our robot, and so it has a pivot like this. Usually we need to have pivot at 0, 0, because so now when I press insert here, so you can see it was positioned not right under the mouse, but a little shift by this coordinates. So what I'm going to show you now here, that I want to make it a 0, 0 while shifting another object the same way. So I'm going to connect them with joins, easily like before, pressing the insert key again. And I'm going back to editing objects, and now when I move this object, I move all the objects that are connected with the joins to this object, master object. So now I can click it position to 0, 0, and the pivot is now under the mouse when I press insert here. Yeah, so we can see here again, very simple robot that is not done so far. I hope this was useful. Again, I will show you more in another videos, and looking forward to your reply. Okay, bye.